Sup guys, Phoenix here with Henschel 123 and the question: if a biplane is used as a bomber, it must be shit, right? I mean, it's a biplane. Well, what do you think? If you want to know, then watch on. Alright, so as usual, we are starting with part 1. This is flight performance. As you can see, I have bombs with me, the payload. I will show you a performance with the payload on, because that's what you will need to know the most. Yeah, so first of all, let's start with weapons as usual. So for weapons we have our good old friend, the same machine guns in the same arrangement as on Henschel 51 and BF-109B. So 2 low caliber machine guns with 1000 rounds in the nose. Well, I feel like I'll be repeating myself, so at least I will make it quick. They are fairly accurate, placed in the nose, so you don't need to worry about convergence. They have low power but high rate of fire. The ammo belts, well, we can see that here. The ammo belts are not really that great. I mean, they are pretty much the same as on other 2 fighters from before. Well, this is not a fighter, but the other 2 planes, say. So the ammo is so-so. The range is okay because the muzzle velocity is relatively high. And overall, those are okay guns for RRB, but if you want to use it in ground RB, then only trucks and open top vehicles are going to be susceptible to your fire, pretty much. We have no turrets nor anything like this, but we have payload. And payload, we have 2 options. We can take 4 50kg bombs, so way better than the garbage on Henschel 51, or those 4 bombs plus another 250kg bomb. However, I have to warn you that the default selection is the 50kg bomb, so you have to drop all your 50kg bombs before you can drop the 250kg bomb. Of course, you can go around this by going into multifunction menu, choosing weaponry, weapon selector, and switch secondary weapons. See, whether you look at the bottom of the screen or at this area here in the upper left corner, you can see that the bomb selected is changing. SC is the name of the bomb. Yeah, so let's talk about those bombs. So the quantity isn't really that great, but it's not bad. For BR-100 this is very good actually, especially since this plane is maneuverable enough to drop bombs accurately if you know what you are doing. So a 250kg bomb will destroy any tank at this BR with ease, and you don't really have to hit it directly. As long as you hit the ground next to it, it will be fine. The 50kg bombs are trickier, but they can also destroy any tanks at this BR, provided that you hit it directly. Those bombs are very effective in ground RB as well. You don't have to worry about this. So next, let's talk about survivability. So, alright, let's take a look at the hangar. We'll waste a bit of time because I forgot to check this shit. Yeah, it has 1 piece of armor here, 5mm. So at some angles, at far distances, it will be useful. Plus, you have engine here, which will also kind of protect the pilot. But I wouldn't really say that it's much, because it isn't. The problem is, just like with other biplanes, that you have metal construction with little metal actually covered in fabric. So it's, well, the default armor piercing rounds and balls, that is rounds that have, yeah, by the way, the balls in the various belts, especially at low tier, are basically round rounds, so to say, ball-shaped rounds which have no warhead, so to say. They are just solid pieces of steel or whatever metal. So this kind of bullets will not hurt you much. However, tracer rounds and especially incendiary rounds are going to give you a lot of trouble, especially with a fairly large fuel tank. See this large block behind between the engine and the guns, right next to the guns. Not the smaller one, but the bigger one. I think the smaller one is oil, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, so this plane is highly susceptible to fires. I got set on fire more than once when flying this thing. Let me think. Okay. I will do some bombing on those targets after I'm done with performance in flight. So anyway, yeah, and regarding the rip speeds, let me tell you next. So the overall rip speed is close to 600 km per hour. To be exact, is 577 for your wings. If you cross that speed, which is possible only in a long and steep dive, your plane will fall apart. You have all kinds of flaps ranging from landing to combat. However, they are much worse than on Henschel 51 and Bf-109 because your combat flaps, they rip at 300 km per hour, takeoff flaps at 274 and landing flaps at 190. Also, it seems like just as is the case with Bf-109, it clearly takes a while for the flaps to deploy and retract. Not as long as in Messerschmitt, but quite a bit nonetheless. Okay, so that was it for the flaps. Now let's talk about weak points. So yeah, weak points are just like with other biplanes. The pilot, the engine, the fuel tank, also wings. If you can make the wings on this snap, which is possible with any cannon, then it's GG for a biplane. Even just one piece of wing that snapped is enough to send the enemy to hangar, or you if you are flying the biplane. Additionally, since you are carrying payload, it is now possible to make payload explode since the last update. That's another problem for you. I have never been hit in my bombs in this plane, however I have sometimes intercepted enemy bombers with my fighter or shot at them with my SPAs and caused the bombs to explode, so it is possible. Right, now let's talk about speed. So this plane is relatively slow. It has the same maximum speed as Henschel 51, that is 310 km per hour, which is very underwhelming. And I think it has pretty much the same performance in the sense that it can reach the speed at 4 kilometers in altitude. By the way, its operational sailing is also 8 kilometers like on Henschel 51. The acceleration rate, as you can see, is very underwhelming, even worse than on Henschel 51. However, do take note that we have like what 450 kilograms of payload under the plane, so it kind of makes sense. The payload makes flight characteristics worse, be it speed or agility. I will mention it separately a bit later, because I need to take a look at it in the spawn screen or in the hangar. So next, the energy rate, so different from Henschel 51, we have web available on this. And there's one important thing, namely, when we go over the maximum speed with web on, at some point you will get high max engine RPM. At this point you have to lower the throttle a bit to say 90 km per hour. If you don't, then your engine may get damaged. Also, I have to check the stall speed on this thing, but I think it should be fairly low. Well, it might be a bit worse with the payload on. Okay, let's lower the throttle and see. Yeah, so it's around 120. Have you seen those trails appearing briefly a moment ago before I started stalling? They are an indication that your plane is about to stall. Now let's try with landing flaps on. As I said earlier, the payload might be increasing the stall speed, making it worse. Yeah, so with a landing flap it's just over 100 kilometers per hour. Next, for energy retention, I won't even bother speaking about it too much. However, no, actually I will. Energy retention in this plane does matter because you will spawn high up in the bomber at like 3,500 meters, so you will probably dive against your targets because there's no bombing view, there's no bomber target mode. So the energy retention isn't really too great in horizontal. It isn't really that great in vertical either, as you can see. Its bleeding speed, well, actually not that bad, I suppose. Maybe the biplane is relatively light and that's why. Well, we also have the payload, so there's that. However, there's one place where this plane bleeds energy very fast, and this is in turns. So when you start dogfighting enemies in this plane, then at the beginning it's okay, but after a while, I don't know, half a minute, you completely run out of energy and you will be very sluggish even without payload, and it will be very difficult to regain energy. I'm talking from experience because I had this happen to me like, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, when I was fading this thing. I was dogfighting, I think P-26, and couldn't outturn him because I ran out of energy while fighting DEV 371 or whatever is that biplane from French 3 with 20mm cannon code. Yeah, so regarding engine performance across altitudes, I don't think it really matters all that much. I suppose we can have a look in the nearest IRB match, but I think it doesn't really matter and there shouldn't be much of a difference. But it's probably worse very high, like at 5-6 kilometers, than it is low. Regarding manual engine controls, they are of course available, but we don't have supercharger, we don't have turbocharger, we can adjust mixture, we cannot adjust propeller pitch, and there's no radiator control actually, which is weird, but then again it makes sense because we have a radial engine, and a radial engine like this, where you can see the components from the front, will never... Well, it's not just that you can see the components, but that also that this part of the engine does not obscure those elements there. And we have a very wide circle around the propeller. So this kind of engine doesn't really overheat. It's very good at cooling down, so you don't really have to worry about it. Next, let's talk about agility. So the roll of this thing is actually not that bad for a bomber biplane, but it's not really too good. It's a bit better with flaps, but not much. It's better without payload, that's for sure. But, well, it's not that great. It's not that great. Flaps do significant... Alright, first the turn. So the turning ability of this thing is actually not that bad once you get rid of the payload. As you can see, with payload it's meh. But without payload it's actually pretty good. However, as I said earlier, you will bleed speed and energy very fast, and then your turn will become shit. So I don't really recommend prolonged dogfights in this. The rudder, as you can see, is very good, no complaints here. Regarding flaps, they do improve your performance during dogfights significantly. However, they also cause you to lose speed and energy faster, which means that you will become a sitting duck in the air even sooner than during a normal dogfight. As I said, we have all kinds of flaps. Regarding agility versus altitude, To be frank, I haven't really checked high up. We can check this in RRB when I'm diving down towards the targets, because there's no way I will stay up there without bomber sight to bomb. Well, actually you could use this as an interceptor against bombers in theory, since you spawn at the bomber altitude, but with those shit machine guns I don't really recommend. You'll have to dump like somewhere between a third to 2/3 of your ammo to one bomber to shoot it down, and it can destroy you with its turrets if you are unlucky. Yes, there's nothing else to talk about in terms of agility. There are no special features that improve it, because this is too low a tier for this. Yeah, so this is it for part 1. I'll be back in a moment. Alright guys, we are continuing. A bit of an exception here. I've decided to show you how long it takes to load this, because for some reason it takes quite a lot of time. That is, I'm not quite sure what the hell is going on, but it takes like 2 or 3 times as long to load into battle than in Henschel 51. And mind that I'm recording at Saturday evening by European standards, so this means that it's afternoon in the US and there's a lot of guys playing, and I've picked European and North American server. Okay, for some reason it loaded quickly this time, but often it goes up to a minute or 2. So let's talk about the history of Henschel 123 first. So this thing was designed, I think, in 1934, because Henschel, which was initially a locomotive manufacturer, decided to try designing planes, and this was their first one. It competed against some other plane in, I think, 1935. That's where its first flight took place, and won the competition for a tactical bomber / dive bomber. Nice that we see Stuka here. Yeah, the C Stuka somehow became a tongue twister for me, because it was the successor of Henschel, direct successor. Alright, so let me see some targets. Alright, let's take a look at the performance in high up, while I still remember. So as you can see, the acceleration is worse. The payload has significant influence on the performance, as you can see. Turn is like 20% worse, 20% slower. Climb rate is like 40% worse, and max speed is significantly affected as well. As for agility, there doesn't seem to... no, there is some influence. The turn is worse. The roll rate doesn't seem to be particularly worse. Alright, so I think I'll dive down on those things there. Actually, you know what, might as well engage this guy to show you that there's no real point in using this thing as an interceptor. So this thing was introduced into service, I think, in 1936, but it was mostly sent, actually not mostly, several were sent to Spain to participate in the Spanish Civil War. There was a bit of a complication here, because they were supposed to serve as tactical bombers, but it turned out that they weren't good enough for this. Ooh. Didn't even touch that guy more than once. Alright, let's just dive down. So they served as tactical bombers initially, but they weren't really good in this role. You know what? Might as well take a chance at attacking this guy, because he's lower. Alright, let's see if I can energy trap him. I'll bite with this thing. I don't really have much hope that I can. Alright, let's deploy flaps. Alright, as you can see, trying to energy trap a monoplane and a biplane, especially a bomber biplane, is not really the best idea. However, I have agility that he doesn't. See, I can outturn this guy, but as usual with those low caliber MGs, can't really do much to him. So as I was saying, there were troubles with this thing in tactical bomber role because it didn't have sufficient range and there were some other issues. However, when used in the ground support role, so as a dive bomber, it performed very well. Oh, this guy spun out. Okay, let's go bomb those targets. Yeah, and reminder, you have to switch switch secondary weapons for this. Yeah, so as I was saying, in the dive bomber role it actually performed quite well and kind of returned to graces, but Luftwaffe still preferred to retire it and replace it with Stukas. However, nonetheless, Henschel's 123 were used in Poland in 1939 with very good effect. Basically, they were very precise. Alright. Only the 250 kilo bomb scored some hit, unfortunately. Yeah, as you can see, it's not really accurate. But you can engage something lighter than a light tank with your MGs with some good effect. Maybe I'll go engage that F3F to show you how it performs without payload in a dogfight. And if not, then I will make sure to show such footage from another battle in a moment. So as I was saying, so this thing actually performed quite well in Poland. Because it was very easy to maintain, it could start with shitty airfields and so on. So it kind of returned to graces and was then used in the Balkans, in the... Ooh, bomber. What you doing here, dude? Okay, can't even hit him, and I'm out of... Wow, I forgot the bomb. Still have one more, and I still have one more tank. Wait! Is that AA just driving in some weird place? I think... Okay, let's try to drop this bomb there. Well, okay, I guess that works. Yeah, this AA is sitting in a weird place, bro. Okay, so as I was saying, the plane performed quite well and was also sent out during combat for invasions of France and Belgium and Netherlands and the Balkans, and it also took part in fights on the Eastern Front, actually for quite a long time. One thing about those Henschels was that they could fly way more sorties than other planes, and they were much more reliable in bad weather, which is why they were appreciated a lot by German army, who enjoyed the support. So they've been finally retired at the beginning of 1944 during spring, which was because there were no more spare parts for them. It was impossible to run them in combat anymore, and the production already stopped in 1940. Henschel scrapped their production equipment at that time. I'm not really sure exactly what was the number produced, but I think it was somewhere around 250 maybe. Aside from Germany, China used some, and we have those biplanes in the Chinese Air 3 indeed. And Spain used some, and once again Spain strikes with weird obsolete planes. They retired their Henschels only in 1953. But they had only a small number of them, I'm sure. Right, that's pretty much it regarding history. So we will stop here for a moment. I will come back to you in another RRB where I will show you how it fares in dogfight and talk about its general performance in RRB. There's no point in recording this battle anymore. Anyway, so be right back. Okay guys, we're carrying on. So I will now talk about RRB specifically. I will seek to record one or two more short clips from RRB where I'm showing you performance in dogfight both with and without payload, so that you can compare and see how it works. Alright, so generally RRB performance is, well, so honestly. It's not really the best bomber for RRB. First of all, you do not have bomber sight, so you have to come back from this high altitude. Secondly, your pea-shooter machine guns can't do much against enemy bombers that you emit at this altitude. The only things that you can shoot down are those single-engine bombers with lighter fuselage that that exist in some numbers across different trees, but there aren't that many of them. And twin-engine bombers and such, they will easily shrug off your fire. Also, take note that you are going at rather slow speeds, so fast-going bombers with superior altitude won't really be able to much do. Will easily be able to outclimb you and just dodge you. Alright, because there aren't many enemies, then I will first engage bombers until enemy fighters appear, at which point I will die for them. So yeah, so this is BR 1.0, so you can't be down tiered. In case of up tier, you will be struggling a bit. I mean, not that much because alright, doesn't seem like this guy was in the troll for a long time, so yeah, the problem with up tier here is that this guy has heavy machine guns. I had better run. This guy has a weak roll from what I remember, so but this also is a slow plane, so it will be a bit difficult to overshoot him, but okay, I can still do it. Yeah, so as you can see, an enemy dive bomber is not really that difficult to out-turn. Even with payload still attached to your wings. But this guy has a gunner in the back. Now that I think about this, gotta be careful. Just as I'm doing right now, pay attention so that you don't fire at enemy bombers with long bursts. Use short or medium length bursts instead, because it's very easy to get frustrated and forget yourself when you're firing at bombers when they are taking no damage no matter how long you're shooting at them. Just like now. But this way your guns will jam sooner or later. This guy's dropping bombs. I see his wings being in trouble. Alright. Okay, so let's go engage. Well, this P-36 probably get on it. Those guys there are chasing that Stuka for no reason. Alright. Seems like it won't be a good battle to show you what I want then. Yeah, but do have a look a bit. As you can see, even with my payload still attached, I can easily outturn this guy. It's a different matter altogether that he's faster than me, so this advantage isn't really that obvious when he's not trying to run away from you. What? Woo! Crazy. That was really close. Yeah, this is another thing that you have to be mindful of in this biplane where you are carrying heavy payload. It's very easy to hit the ground when you are not paying attention. Because yeah, like I said earlier, it's running out of energy and speed very easily during dogfights, and the payload isn't really helping. Alright, let's see, maybe I will be able to engage those guys, in which case I will drop my payload in advance. And alright, you know what? They are going to come back. Might as well drop the payload at those things there. Show you once again how it fares. And then go engage those guys. Still have a few things to say after all. Maybe we will be able to wrap it up in one video. As in one recording of ARB. Anyway, so as I said, up tier will be a bit of an issue to you because there will be more monoplane planes which will be faster, better armed. So up tier is not really good news to you, but to be frank, I can't really tell what is the exact BR here. Maybe 1.3? No clue. Alright, so let's... Okay, never mind. I will just drop those 50 kilo bombs first. One, and then the second. One hit, the other didn't. Generally, when you are using bombs, you need experience. Woo! Nice. Didn't know that this tree extended that far. Well, okay, I suppose this battle was a bit useful, so be right back without payload. Alright guys, here we go again. So I'll shoot at this guy once, that is B2U, then drop my bombs at whatever random thing I can find while diving on enemy fighters as soon as I spot them. So let's now talk about the difficult enemies that you will encounter in arcade. So first of all, attackers and bombers that can take a beating are a difficult enemy for you, because even though they are not as maneuverable, they may have better armament and they definitely can take way more of the beating than you. Alright, not this one. Okay, let's ignore that hump then and just drop my load somewhere. Yeah, there's BF2, something, F3F. So one or two biplanes. Yeah, so difficult enemies are not just bombers and attackers. Okay, let's just drop that shit there randomly so I can focus on these guys. So you are a bit of an awkward plane in RB because, basically speaking, fighter biplanes... Oh, nice, someone stole the kill. Whoa. Fighter biplanes are better than you in terms of agility, and monoplanes are better than you in terms of speed. Alright, I don't know where the other guy is. Oh, he stalled out. Let's try to get him if I can. Couldn't. Okay, let's get this guy. Come on, come on, come on. Almost. Alright, I think I can focus on this guy for a short moment. Alright, as you can see, you can fight enemy biplane fighters, but it's going to be tricky. I'm assuming that those guys are noobs, and this is why I am still alive. Oh, there's a monoplane, yeah. Monoplanes are going to be your other enemy, which is very difficult to take care of because they are just faster, and if you have enough speed, you can just do whatever you want against biplanes. See? A fighter biplane in the end took me down. It wasn't that apparent that I was running out of energy and speed this time, even without payload, but I think that's enough to see what you did see here. So overall, what you want to do with Henschel is to fly down from high above and use the altitude, speed and energy that you gain from your spawn against enemy fighters. You want to milk the most you can out of that advantage before it disappears, and unfortunately it will disappear fairly quick. So if you do very well, you can take on multiple enemies and even emerge victorious. However, this is only if you have very good skill and are fighting against noobs. So for example, one time when I was spading this today, I fought against 3 fighters, I believe, and shot them all down, but they also shot me down, so I wasn't able to RTB and brag about my fight at the airfield. Yeah, so overall, this plane isn't really a good choice for RRB. Honestly, I don't really think that it's a good idea to farm ground targets with attackers to progress through the tree. It depends. If you are a relatively good pilot, then you can just progress via fighters. However, if you are not that good, or if you want to spade this for the sake of ground RB battle, then I guess you will have some battles ahead of you in RRB as well. You can also spade it in ground battles, however, and this is something that is very important. In ground realistic battles, planes receive much less experience for the same number of, for example, kills that you get in RRB. Therefore, you always want to exp planes in RRB. You only want planes in ground RB to help your team win, to rack up more kills, but you don't really want to use ground RB to exp planes. You won't get far. I mean, it won't be maybe that palpable on this BR, but it will be obvious on higher BRs. I'm not sure what the exact difference is, maybe like half, something like that. Yeah, so in summary, I don't recommend that you spend a lot of time in this in RRB. It is possible to achieve some things, but not much. Right, be right back. I will show you how it performs in ground RB next. Alright guys, we are carrying on. As in the previous Henschel 51 video, I'm just going to quickly rush, get some points and spawn in a plane. It may take quite a while at this low of a BR to talk about everything. I'm not sure if I will have the time, so I'm starting in advance, so to say. Alright, I should have some enemy already around here. There's something there. Alright, he doesn't see me. Let's not show myself. Alright, so first of all, Henschel He-123's effectiveness in ground RB is surprisingly high, at least at this BR. If you have good skills, then you can destroy even 5 to 6 enemies with its bombs. To be exact, the 250 kilo bomb, or I can already get a plane, so let's go rush and get my stupid recon vehicle scrapped so I can spawn in a plane, or rather the plane. Alright, Geronimo, here I am, guys. Oh shit, stupid fences. What? Oh shitty terrain. Nah, not quite what I expected to do, but at least it was neither of those two guys that got me. Okay, so let's spawn in. Yeah, so with those 5 bombs you can do quite well. 250 kilo bomb is almost guaranteed to get you a kill. And if you have good aim with bombs, then you should net some more kills with the smaller bombs. However, do remember to pick the right bomb right from the start. I'm saying this because the smaller bombs require more care, so you may end up aiming poorly and wasting one of the smaller bombs. Yeah, so that's it for payload. As for machine guns, well, just as I said in BF109 and Henschel 51 videos, it's not really great. Or rather, they are not really great. You won't really do much with the machine guns. Only trucks and open top vehicles are susceptible to your fire from the machine guns. Right, so survivability is more tricky because we are a biplane. Well, Henschel is surprisingly tough for a biplane, so it's not that bad. It's better than Henschel 51, but you should still be careful of enemy ground fire. Alright, there's some SPA on there. Oh, okay, 2 guys there, actually 3. Maybe let's see how many kills I can net with that bomb. 1. Then. Okay, better 1 than nothing. I suppose I should have a heavier bomb force. Okay, no, that's too late for aiming. Also, I can hear some plane. Seems to be that friendly, but you might have noticed guys are already shooting at me, so you have to be careful of enemy fire. Watch your speed. If you go below 200 kilometers per hour, then you have to expect that someone will give you a beating from the ground. What? Didn't hit? Yeah, as you can see, even someone experienced like me has trouble hitting with smaller bombs. Basically, this all depends on the angle. The more parallel to the ground you are, the less likely you are to hit. Okay, I need to get some speed so I can get some more altitude. Yeah, so you should avoid enemy spawns, and I mean ground spawns, because SPAs will be able to easily tear you apart even at this low of a BR. Also, you have to constantly pay attention to where enemy planes are. They also can... Alright, let's try this. That wobble should have improved my accuracy, and yes, it really did. Yeah, as you can see, avoid also flying in easily predictable patterns on easily predictable trajectories. Alright, when possible, prioritize enemy planes so that they cannot... Ooh. Well, that cost me my engine. Alright, never mind that. Yeah, as you can see, it is possible to get some kills, but really tricky. You also have to be careful so as not to get your engine damaged when you are fighting. So the main threats that you'll face are SPAs, American tanks which have 50 cal on the roof. Actually, there are not that many of those. Let's have a look. Stuart, I think it has, yeah, it has a lower caliber. I think that's a 30 cal or something. Right, isn't there some tank? Yeah, okay, this one has a 50 cal on the roof. This one has a 50 cal, but it's a turret, so no. Yeah, but the SPAs in the American tree are already starting with the best machine gun that is in the game, that is 50 cal. If you go to higher tiers, then you will eventually meet tanks with 50 cals on the roof, like Chaffee, for example, or Shermans. Yeah, so those guys are going to be a problem for you. Because of your slow speed, it's not that likely that you will be able to RTB. You will probably be destroyed somewhere during your ground pounding mission, accumulating damage bit by bit. If you miss any fighters appearing from the enemy team and they catch you unawares, then you'll probably be shot down, so there's that too. However, since maps are fairly small on this BR, you have a chance at coming back to rearm if you survive. However, that won't be as easy on higher BRs. So speaking of BRs, what kind of BR should you use for should you use this for? As in, what's the highest BR in ground or B that you can take it for? Well, let me see. Let me put it like this. The bombs on this thing will be effective on any BR, but that's only assuming that you can aim well with the 50 kilo bombs. The 250 kilo bombs will be effective on any BR. However, the problem is your slow speed will be very easy to intercept, and I think somewhere around rank 2 enemy tanks will be able to follow you with their guns and shoot at you, and because you are very slow, it will be very easy to one-shot you with their main cannon. So I think you can take this to like rank 2, but at rank 3 I think you should just take some time and effort to actually unlock some proper bomber. For example, you just have to take Stuka. I think this Stuka should be able to do, yeah, it has a 250 kilo bomb, a 500 kilo bomb, and you can create presets. Well, not that much actually, but let's see. Maybe that's because I haven't bothered unlocking. How about this one? Alright, this cannot. What's the point of creating a preset when there's only one option anyway? Bruh. Alright, never mind this. Yeah, Henschel cannot create presets, unfortunately, despite having more hardpoints. Alright, so in summary, this thing is poor in RRB, but good. It's actually good for ground RB. There's actually meaning in using it, in unlocking it. So the answer to the question of the video is that yes, this is actually surprisingly good as a dive bomber, and it's very much worth your time, but you still want to replace it as soon as possible. So the advice tactics that I want to tell you about in ground RB is to preferably take note of the enemies in advance before you reach the background. You can zoom in on the map or minimap and see where enemy markers are blinking. Go there, try to bomb fast before you run out of speed. You can hang out a bit to look if there are any tracks or something, but generally stay on your toes and avoid enemy ground fire. Right, a short word about economy. It's better than Henschel 51 and PF109, I think. Yeah, it's better in terms of cash, but that's pretty much it. Honestly, just BR1, there's no real point in talking much about economy. You will make ends meet without problem, that's enough. So overall, yes, it's worth your time, but only from ground RB. I repeat, don't really waste your time on it in RRB, just unlock Sztuka. Also, one more thing that I will tell you is the order in which you should unlock modifications first. So first thing that you should unlock is this, because this lets you use the 250 kilo bomb. Without it, you only have this option below. As for the rest, it doesn't really matter, to be frank. I guess you can unlock weaponry first to the end, because this thing will make your machine guns more accurate. Without this, well, you can just see that at half a kilometer they are very inaccurate, and indeed I have shot at enemy bombers today quite a lot and missed quite a lot from this sort of distance. It was only close by that I didn't have trouble hitting them before I unlocked this modification. Other than this, it doesn't really matter, frankly. I don't really remember. Okay, let's try it and see what's the performance without engine upgrades and such. It doesn't really differ all that much, I guess. So if you want, you can just skip all those upgrades. If you do want to spade them, then just look at the little green numbers here and see what gives you the most in terms of performance. So for example, this garbage you can ignore initially. Radiator you don't really need, but you have to unlock something probably here anyway. Yeah, so you should probably prioritize this line. Yeah, this one is useful, this one is useful, this one is also. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next time.